Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Where Did Everybody Go? And in today's video, I wanted to tell you that I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday and she wanted to tell me just how proud of me that she was because I've shown to her some improvements in how my head was before, I guess you can say, because I started this channel originally because when I realized that I had complex post-traumatic stress from a narcissistic relationship, I felt so alone and I felt like nobody understood me, and I tried to talk to people, but like it wasn't something that they could grasp. And I get that because when I worked at a doctor's office and I would have to put people on disability for depression, I didn't grasp that. I would be like, why can't you just go to work? Why is it so hard for you to be happy? Get up in the morning and go. Like, it's easier to be happy than it is to be sad or depressed. And it kind of bothered me for a long time when I would have to write these people to be off of work for a month or extend it to even longer. And I didn't get it until all of this had happened to me. And then I realized like I could have went to work, but I wasn't good enough for myself. I wasn't confident in myself to even like live daily, to be confident in a job that I was going to do for somebody else. And when you see my resume, it's pretty lengthy, it's seasoned. I'm an old girl, and if they hired me, they wanted to hire the person off this resume, and then at the moment that wasn't the person that they were going to get. They were going to get the broken, the hollow, the confused, the person that wasn't sure what was happening, was living in a fog, and to where once everything was light, I was a little butterfly flying around happy as can be, to another type of a person that I didn't even recognize myself. I did shower every day, of course, and I did get dressed, but there were days on end when I just wouldn't put makeup on, or my hair was in a bun every single day of my life at that time. So I kind of looked put together minus the makeup. I was clean, but I just didn't feel good, and I wasn't sure why or what. And then I started researching it, and I talked to one of my doctors, and he was like, yeah, you definitely have, complex post-traumatic stress. Now, what the difference is between post-traumatic stress and PTSD is the word complex, which is what the C is. And the complex is because you've had multiple stressors in your life, not one event like post-traumatic stress. So a car accident, a death of a family member, unfortunately a rape, that could be one solid reason to get PTSD. But with mine and the narcissist, it was like days of stressors, because there was a point to where I came to where I would wake up every morning and I would be like, okay, what am I going to do today that's going to make it better than yesterday so you don't hate me today? And that was a daily theme song in my brain every day. And I raised my son on my own. I didn't have any help with anybody, any state assistance. I didn't have anything. I raised him on my own. And I always felt, and I never dated really. If I did see somebody, I never brought them home. I never brought anybody to meet him, because I knew the relationship wasn't going to work out regardless, because I wasn't going to stand for somebody telling me what I could buy for him and what I couldn't. I wouldn't have stood for anybody telling him what to do or punishing him or scolding him in any way. I wouldn't have stood for it. And I just knew it wasn't going to work. I could have had 10 relationships, none of them would have worked, because I wouldn't have wanted them to treat him like a redheaded stepchild. So I kept anybody and everybody away, and I just raised him. So I thought I was a strong enough person to see past bullshit, to see past mental abuse, definitely physical for sure. There wasn't ever any physical abuse. It was just all mental. And it's crazy to think that I fell for that. As strong of a person as I thought that I wasn't, because this one person came in and wiped me out like a big rogue wave, because you really don't see that it's coming until you're drowning. And that's what happened. I didn't realize, and it was all the textbook. It was all step by step by step by step, to where the first step is, and people probably wonder, like, how do you get involved in that? Or how do you, I mean, if you know that they're cheating or whatever, you would just be smart enough to walk away. Well, that's what I would have thought. And that's what I had always said, until it happens to you and you're trapped in what's called trauma bonding, which I'll tell you all about. But when, and then the manipulation, and then them being able to tell you that the sky is purple when it's blue, and then you walk away scratching your head thinking, is it really blue or purple? And you won't know. You really will believe them, because their ways of turning things around and making and feeding the information to you to a way where you just believe it. Their words are so like, he's so telling the truth, he's not lying, I'm the crazy one, I thought the sky was blue, when really it's not. Like, their words are so believable. And there were so many times that I would hide, like if he and I had got, like, if so what happens a lot of the times at this relationship is that he would always bring people home, other women home, and they would be in the garage or whatever. And you know, people are a creature of habit, and I can say that through all of it, I still watched patterns. I mean, I know a person, you do the same things all the time. So when something's out of the ordinary, you're like, okay, well, you never do that before. So all of a sudden there started to be like alcohol in the refrigerator, which is something we never had. I never bought alcohol. He never drank. But now there's like these beers in there, which is a different behavior. And then in the garage is where he would take them. And knowing that he didn't drink beer, but then also knowing that there were like 2 beers on 2 different sides of the, like, as if you were sitting, you know, like conversing with somebody, there was like this beer, and then there were blankets outside, and these blankets were on my couch, and one of them was a quilt that I had gotten from my aunt, and it was outside, and it was like laying on the floor of the garage as if it, like, people were laying on it, but it was kind of squished together. And I'm like, why is my aunt's quilt out here? And he was like, oh, I had it in the truck, and because the seat was wet or whatever, and it smelled like mildew, and it smelled like mildew, and I don't know, whatever freaking lie that was told. And I was like, okay. And then when I picked up the blanket to take it in, because obviously he said it smelled like mildew, and it was my aunt's quilt that she had given me, so I'm gonna throw it in the washer. Well, the quilt never smelled like mildew. And I'm like, why would he say the quilt smelled like mildew and it wouldn't? But then if you were ever to bring it up or talk to him about it again, you're the one. You brought the blanket to the garage. You're the one that said it smelled like mildew. You're the one that did whatever it is that you're accusing them of doing. You did it, and then you walk away wondering if you really did it, because their manipulation is so strong. So when So those were some of the instances, but what happens is when you first meet them and they come into your life, they mold themselves into everything that you say that you wanted in life, in a relationship, from anyone. They become that person. And then you think, oh my God, he or she is my soulmate. Or, oh my God, this is the best boss ever. Or, oh my, like this friend, I've never had a friend like this before. And you're lost in a fantasy. And then from the fantasy, they start what they call trauma bonding you. And with that is they leave because they're bored with you, or they've sucked all that they can get from you, all the supply, which is what we're called supplies for them. They've sucked everything out that they could possibly want from you at that moment. And then they move on to somebody else, which is what we're all like, they're cheaters and cheating and cheating. And then they go to the next supply, and then they take everything from them. Whatever they can get from them, they take it. Then they have another one. So like the narcissist may have like a couple main sources of supply, but then they also can like go out in between these other ones, finding other people, but not having, they're just like one night stands or whatever, but there's a main group that the narc goes from. So in my situation, there was four main girls, and then of course there was all these little like side girls, but he would just bounce from one to another. And then by the time it was your turn to come back around, you're totally missing them. You're like, oh my God, you came back to me. And then they tell you again all the lies that you want to hear. They become that Prince Charming that you told them that you wanted at the very beginning of the relationship, and all is forgiven. And it's crazy. And then again, they leave you and they go on, and then they go on, and you're still talking to them, and you're like writing them letters, and you're like, oh my God, I miss you and I love you. And they're totally discarding you. And then once they're finished with whatever they're doing and they come back around and they tell you all the promises again that you want to hear, you fall right back into it. And as crazy as that sounds, it happens. It happened to 4 of us, main sources of supply. The lucky little tentacles that he would go out with, luckily they never caught on to that. They never got wind of all of this, but it's a vicious cycle, and it happens over and over and over again. People are married in it, and they're married for 25 years because it's a very slow drip. The drip is so slow that by the time you spring a leak, you've already invested so much time, you're already broken down, and you don't know how to get out. You don't know up from down. You don't know light from day. You don't know. You're just lost. You're so empty. Your soul is empty. You just know that you're in a bad way, in a bad situation. You need to get out of it, but you're afraid to leave. You don't know how to leave, and you become afraid. You become afraid of everything, yourself. You don't even trust your own judgment anymore, and it's a shame. It's totally a shame that we live like this and we don't know about it until the end. So I'm gonna wrap this video up right here. I'm gonna have a part 2 because I'm gonna continue to talk, but I can only send 15 minutes at a time, and hopefully somebody's getting something out of this, and I'll see you soon.